This is Hollywood's magnificent El Capitan Theater, site of the world premiere of the Walt Disney Company's latest animated film, Beauty and the Beast. Hello, I'm David Ogden Stiers, and welcome to a special journey into the world of animation, a trip that will take us behind the scenes, where we will meet Disney's skilled animators and discover the inspiration and the perspiration behind the creation of Beauty and the Beast. I'd never worked on an animated film before, so for me, being a member of the voice cast of Beauty and the Beast was a lot of fun. But even more exciting was being in on the creative process. I gotta tell you, it is a privilege to see how all this magical stuff happens. Well, as I did, you will learn that magic like this does not happen overnight. While the French fairy tale of Beauty and the Beast is only 250 years old, the mythology of the beautiful woman who falls in love with the hideous man-beast has been the subject of artists for countless centuries. In fact, there have been so many versions of this story that Disney decided to take the best from all of them, add a few twists of its own, and in doing so, concoct a bubbling drama that will have audiences on the edges of their seats, wondering what will happen, wondering whether either Beauty or the Beast will even survive.
There's a lot of stories out there that really are Beauty and the Beast when you think about it. Every culture virtually around the world has a animal groom, human bride story in their culture, American Indian culture, the Orient, whatever. And so we tried to take all those and synthesize them into a story that worked for us.
What are you doing here?
Bell! Who's there? Who are you?
The master of this castle.
A great story. That's the first major component of a Disney classic. And the second key element is music. And with a score by Howard Ashman and Alan Menken, the team that won the Academy Award for The Little Mermaid, that bass was covered. This is one aspect of the process that, while not new to me, I especially enjoyed because, you see, my avocation is conducting symphony orchestras.
There's something sweet and almost kind, but he was mean and he was coarse and unrefined, and now he's dear and so unsure. I wonder why I didn't see it there before.
It's oft been said that music hath powers to soothe the savage beast. And while in this film it's Beauty that does the job, the music plays a major role too.
The songs come from forms that are really born of the musical theater. The way fantasy and fairy tale comes into it often is the way those themes will spin themselves out into the scene afterwards, sometimes in the treatment, in the sounds of the musical instruments.
Like the Broadway musicals of old, the songs in Beauty and the Beast are integral to the storytelling. They give us important information in an entertaining and tuneful way. The first song especially is a key moment in any musical. A great opening number will instantly draw in the audience. With style and wit, it will introduce us to many of the main characters, help explain what's about to happen, and where it's going to take place. The opening song is very important. It tells us not only what we need to know, but, in essence, sets the tone for the entire movie.
You're the greatest hunter in the whole world!
I know.
No beast alive stands a chance against you. And no girl for that matter.
As veterans of the musical theater, when Alan Menken and Howard Ashman sat down at the piano, they knew that their songs had to do more than just advance the story.
I think what occurs to us when we write our songs for an audience who are kids or an audience who are adults is to do something that's as entertaining as possible. And it's being entertaining that really is what holds, I think, audiences of all ages.
Who'd have thought?
Well, bless my soul.
Well, who'd have known?
Well, who indeed?
And who'd have guessed they'd come together on their own?
It's so peculiar.
And finally, the third ingredient that makes films like Pinocchio Peter Pan, Cinderella, and Snow White, so special, are the memorable characters.
If she doesn't eat with me, then she doesn't eat at all.
Belle,
Good morning. I've come to return the book I borrowed.
finished already?
Oh, I couldn't
From
put
the
it
moment
down.
we meet
You got
Belle,
anything new?
we are struck not only by her beauty, but by her intelligence and the sweetness of her character. In fact, we believe almost right away that this is somebody who could love the Beast.
She's kind of an intellectual, which is interesting. She doesn't feel like she fits in to society, and I think a lot of people can identify with that. I know I could. When I first looked at the script, I totally identified with this girl. And the thing that's kind of exciting is you see a growth in her throughout the film.
I've tried to make Belle quite a European-looking girl with a kind of exotic quality about the eyes and a full-lipped mouth. I've been watching a lot of videotapes of ballet dancers and researching how they move, how they walk, because I'm trying to make Belle a very graceful and balletic kind of woman.
No, sir, not me. I guarantee it. I want much more than this provincial life.
When we were first designing Beast, he was all anger and frustration and animal rage, and I thought, oh boy, this is going to be tough. How is Belle ever going to fall in love with this guy at the end?
Just hold still.
Create a beast that is fearsome, yet capable of tenderness, frightening to audiences, yet somebody that a beautiful girl can fall in love with. How do you do that? How do you draw a monster and make him lovable?
There's a guy who's trapped between two worlds. He's animal and he's human, and he's not comfortable in either. And so the design has to show this human side. There's a heart, there's a warmth, there's an ability to love. How a character moves tells you a lot about who he is. With Beast, I really wanted to make sure he didn't come off like a guy dressed in a beast suit.
So, you've come to stare at the Beast, have you?
Please, I meant no harm.
Just as important as making the Beast look believable was making him sound believable.
We had gone through just about every baritone in Hollywood and New York trying to cast the Beast. We had just about given up when our casting director brought in a cassette tape and said, you have to hear this.
You come down to dinner, I'll break down the door.
I just knew that that was the voice of the Beast, because he had a youthful quality underneath this sort of gruff exterior.
There was something in Linda Wolverton's words that just made me feel that I really understood who this character was. And as soon as I started reading it, I thought, this has got to be mine. I mean, there's something in these words that's very much inside of me that I've never had a chance to do before.
Oh, it's no use. She's so beautiful, and well, look at me.
Finding the right voice for the Beast was only one problem. The biggest hurdle might have been to draw the Beast so that he moved in an instinctive way. The creation of natural movement, always a hallmark of Disney animation, is a particular challenge when the animated character has no real counterpart in nature.
With Beast, I wanted him to look like he was a creature that belonged here on Earth, but it was like something we'd never seen before. So in order to do that, I had to look at all these different animals and take pieces from different ones that seemed to inspire something and put them together. Generally, his whole body is like a bear. I mean, it's big and hulky. But beyond all of it, these eyes, as you look into the eyes, it's got to be something that you would really believe that this guy is capable of loving somebody. He's powerful and he's animal-like, and yet he's got this graceful cape. And so we have a cape that we've been using, that just has this great flair to it when you swing it around. We put that on and we run down the hallways here and stop and see how long it takes to settle down, and then we go back and animate it. It has to be real to you. You have to make it something that you've experienced if it's going to animate convincingly.
So, we have Beauty and the Beast. And as in every great love story, there is a complication. The third side of the triangle. In this tale, his name is Gaston, a handsome but vain villager who sets out to make beauty his own, whether she likes it or not.
Belle, it's about time you got your head out of those books and paid attention to more important things, like me.
Gaston, who is the handsome man who's always chasing after Belle, he starts off and you just think, well, he may be a bore, but he's not evil. But by the end of the picture, you see his true nature, and he's jealous and ultimately threatens the beast.
I think Gaston evolved primarily because we had to find a villain who was a contrast to our hero, and our hero is this ugly monster. So what better to make our villain than a handsome, egotistical bully.
He's handsome, yet he's a ham actor. So on one hand, I have to ham it up and have him do very broad things. On the other hand, I have to be very careful with the drawing because he's supposed to be handsome. So it's walking that fine line all the way through.
Right from the moment when I met her, saw her, I said she's gorgeous and I fell. Here in town there's only she who is beautiful as me. So I'm making plans to woo and marry Belle.
Thing that sort of pushed us over the edge and really got us sort of excited about the animation possibilities were the object characters, the enchanted objects, by populating the Beast's castle with all of these servants who are transformed into teapots and clocks and candles and what have you.
Mama, there's a girl in the castle.
A girl?
Through the casting process, you get a sense of what a character might be. You take a character like Mrs. Potts, the teapot. We always knew we wanted sort of a British, Mrs. Bridges from Upstairs, Downstairs. So we thought, okay, Mrs. Bridges, she's sort of a type we can use. And then we did our casting, we came up with Angela Lansbury, and she came in and read for the role, and you get a real sense of, okay, Angela Lansbury is the teapot.
Mrs. Potts, I thought was just exactly the little fat, comfortable lady that I had envisioned in my mind. And she's very much part of the running of the house. So she's a motherly figure, immediately a motherly figure.
Cheer up, child. It'll turn out all right in the end. You'll see. Oh, listen to me, jabbering on while there's a supper to get on the table.
Lumiere is sort of an actor in his heart. He's a little Maurice Chevalier, a little Gene Kelly, a little Fred Astaire, all rolled up into one. Very suave, very sophisticated.
I found it fascinating as I saw the animation develop that they were putting in some of my facial characteristics and some of my takes and the faces that I make when I'm doing the voice. I think the nose is there and all kinds of things on Lumiere, which was a lot of fun for me to see happening.
Have you thought that perhaps this girl could be the one to break the spell?
Of course I have. I'm not a fool.
As I told you before, I am a big cog in this movie. Now, as I don't appear on screen, you may not recognize me, so I'll give you a hand. I play a clock. Don't believe me? Watch.
This is Lumiere.
Enchanté, chérie.
If there's anything we can do to make your stay more comfortable.
Ow! It was kind of sketchy. There were several different versions of him in the storyboard. And when David Ogden Stiers got involved and started recording the voiceover, he sort of locked into this sort of John Houseman-ish characterization of this stuffed shirt, but with this frantic originality that he brought to it in all of his own.
Who said anything about the castle being enchanted? It was you, wasn't it?
When he read his first lines, and after we stopped laughing and picked ourselves up off the floor, we realized that this guy, first of all, is a great improviser. He gave us lines that we never dreamt of having.
I want to do something for her. But what?
Well, there's the usual things, flowers, chocolates.
Well, that's the way it was in the script, but David added his own touch.
Well, there's the usual things, flowers, chocolates, promises you don't intend to keep.
The most surprising and delightful character development was a young teacup named Chip.
Chip is my favorite, and Chip came out of nowhere. He didn't exist, and one day I was writing the script and I thought, it was a little joke. I just wrote about a little teacup with a chip in him, and I called him Chip. And it was really a joke, and I didn't expect it ever to stay.
We all thought it was great. We sat around a story meeting and thought, that's a really great character. And you know, if we do it right, that could be kind of the kid's window into this story.
My favorite moment with Chip is one of the first scenes I actually animated of him. He's on Maurice's hand, and he turns and he says, "Belle."
Why'd you go away? Don't you like us anymore?
That really was a very sincere reading on the part of Bradley, and it was the first scene where I really felt like Chip came to life for me.
He sort of sounds like an 8-year-old, or younger sometimes. I just think about if I was like him, what would I say, and how would I say it? I didn't see anything.
Come along, Chip. There's chores to be done in the kitchen.
But what are they talking about? What's going on?
It's a collaborative process. Storyboard sketches are turned into animators' rough drawings. Then, cleanup artists transform these sketches into pristine final form. The effects animators add shadows, smoke, and other natural elements. And the background painters add the setting. Finally, the cells are painted, and the scene comes to life.
Will you come down to dinner?
No.
And from my perspective, the characters went through a similar evolution. From the imaginations of animators into the voices of actors like me, and then back to the animators. It is definitely unique.
We started off with the design of Belle's dress, which is, all in sort of shiny gold. The light plays across her dress and moves with her, and it does give a really nice feeling of light. And then the Beast, we put in sort of a royal blue and with gold trim, and then very dark black pants.
Just a little change.
The great romantic moment of the film. One of the most sophisticated and complicated scenes in Disney's legendary animated history is the ballroom sequence, which takes place in the Beast's castle.
I wanted the audience to just kind of get lost in it, to take you into this place and take you where you haven't been before, in animation terms anyway, to do something that we haven't done before, to kind of sweep you around. And it's something that you can do a little easier in live action, where you can sweep the camera around and you can move with the characters and around and through the characters.
And that's something that's more difficult to do in animation because we're pretty much locked with
limited to
flat pieces of artwork. And so the more we started developing the sequence with our storyboard artists, the more we started to think it would be really great if we could generate this ballroom in the computer.
So we built this ballroom as a set, and we can fly the camera around, much like you can in a live action environment, and select camera angles. And it really allows you to create this wonderful, sort of fanciful environment.
Putting the hand-drawn characters on top of it, it was a little challenge in itself, because any animator will tell you that the drawing in any perspective other than really kind of flat on is more difficult. And we weren't just drawing in a different perspective, but changing it constantly.
Right.
It's another level of movement and sophistication, and hopefully for the audience, another level of involvement where you feel like you're really there with them.
Bittersweet and strange, finding you can change, learning you were wrong.
If you think the Beast was nervous dancing in that scene, you should talk to a director when he's just finished his movie and nobody's seen it. Possibly the most nerve-wracking moment for any filmmaker is when they stand in the back of the theater and for the very first time, the movie plays to an audience. In the case of Beauty and the Beast, the stakes were particularly high because for the first time in Disney's history, they let outsiders, including New York film critics, see their new film when it was only 70% complete.
Say something to her.
We were scared green.
Oh yeah, we were very nervous. I mean, this audience was going to see a film that was going to be half finished in beautiful color and half in stories in various stages of a process. Some story sketches, some rough animation, some cleaned up animation with effects. So it was wonderful to see people relating to these animated characters and losing themselves in characters that are just, lines on paper and paint, and relating to them as though they were flesh and blood, and that was, really overwhelming.
Be our Guest, be our guest, put our service to the test. Tie your napkin round your neck, Sherry, and we provide the rest.
The old schoolyard gag has it, beauty is only skin deep, but ugliness goes right to the bone. Well, the message of Beauty and the Beast belies that old gag. This wonderful fairy tale affirms everyone's dream that someday we'll meet a person who will love us, not for how we look, but for what is inside of us. The beauty within, not without. That is what Beauty and the Beast is all about.
Belle? Are you happy here with me?
Yes.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed your glimpse behind the scenes and that it will help enhance your appreciation of the film. I would love to show you more, but as Cogsworth the clock might say, oh, time's up. I'm David Ogden Stiers. Thank you.